Welcome back to another live episode of All Things MSP. Tonight, we're talking about hiring and specifically how to hire the ideal team player. Now, this is based on the book, The Ideal Team Player, and I highly recommend. It's something I've been listening to over the last week or so and really think that it's something that can apply for the MSP. And I know that a lot of people are having trouble hiring good people right now, and I think this book has some keys to it. So I've put some slides together. We're going to have a good time, but first, I want to recognize a brand new sponsor of All Things MSP. We are thrilled to announce that Sync 365 is officially the newest All Things MSP vendor partner. If you're an MSP, you know the pain of manual billing. It's time to stop losing money on unbilled licenses and get out of Excel hell. Sync 365 automates your Microsoft 365, Azure, and third-party license billing directly into your PSA. It connects seamlessly with ConnectWise, Autotask, and Halo PSA to ensure your invoices are accurate every single month. Stop leaking revenue, start syncing it. Check them out today at sync365license.com. That's sync365license.com. All right, and now for my favorite Reddit post of the week. The title is Using AI During a Client Meeting. Now, the post reads, just had to share, had a meeting recently with a client regarding rolling out MDM to a handful of devices. Time frame was tomorrow. I said not possible. The client pulled out his phone and asked ChatGPT how long it takes to implement MDM. I said, I'm happy to leave and let you and ChatGPT roll it out without us. Now, to me, this is a perfect response, okay? Because it completely, first of all, this is not a client you want, right? If a client thinks that ChatGPT can replace you, then it's not the client for you. It just isn't, because they're not understanding the value of an MSP. Now, it's possible that the MSP doesn't have that kind of value, but I doubt it. Most MSPs have a lot more value than ChatGPT. Question is, do we have a problem here that we're not showing our value to our clients? That's the question. All right. Now, of course, after the show, make sure you check out the IT Business Podcast with Uncle Marv. He has Tara Rummer on tonight from EmiBot. I guarantee you it's going to be a good show. I'm going to go get ready for the show, but hang on for this message from our sponsor, EasyDmark. Level up your email domain security and deliverability. Reduce business email compromise and reel in that pesky email phishing. Make DMARC a new revenue stream for your MSP. Becoming a managed service provider partner with EasyDmark is a great opportunity for your business to boost sales and decrease risk. Your customers need DMARC. Your job is to let them know that their email domain might be at risk. Find out more today at atmsp.link/EasyDmark. That's atmsp.link/EasyDmark. Welcome back, everybody, to All Things MSP Live. Great to see you this evening. Thank you for joining me. Today, of course, we're going to talk about new hires and specifically things to look for, how to hire people that are going to fit into your team well, people that are going to be team players, if you will. This is basically based on the book, The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's a really good book. If you haven't read it, it's a real easy book. Keith Nelson in the house asking if this is the Amish MSP show. No, it's not. But you know what I didn't do yet? I didn't set up the poll for the beard. There is going to be a poll for the beard. It's not going to be for a couple of weeks now because the live stream is going to have to be put off for a couple of weeks because I have something next week, and then I will be at Right of Boom the week after. So that first week in February, I will be at Right of Boom. So if you're going to be there, come find me at the Ignite booth. But yeah, tonight we're going to talk about that teamwork, that team player, what it looks like. And then I've created a little cheat sheet for you that you can download at the end that gives you some sample questions to ask them about the 3 different pillars or virtues of a team player. And it also gives you some green flags, things to look for, and some red flags, some things to look out for when you are interviewing people for your team. All right. So, as usual, please, if you have any questions during the show, please go ahead and put those in the comments. It seems like the last couple of weeks, the comments have been working from all 3 platforms. So, that's really good. Keith is watching us on YouTube. So, I know that YouTube is working. If you are watching on either Facebook or LinkedIn, and if you would just go ahead and comment, let me know that the comments are working there. That would be great. All right. Now, tonight, like I said, we're talking about teamwork and team players specifically. Now, this book, The Ideal Team Player, one of the things I like about it, and I think is good for most people, is that it starts with a fable, right? And if you've ever read the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, it's the same kind of format because it's written by the same author. And there's just a lot to hearing it as a story that I think hits home before they try and actually dig into the material of what's going on. So, interesting way to do a book, and I do appreciate it. And if you're interested, I can give you a link to the book. Just let me know about that in the comments, and I will follow up later with that. All right. So, one of the big themes of the book is to stop hiring brilliant jerks. And we'll get into this a little bit later as to what that means. But basically, what you want to do is you want to try and build a team that automates itself. And what I mean by that is that it creates a team that doesn't require a lot of managing, except for the stuff you would expect to have to manage, right? Because obviously, with people, you're going to be managing their work and their results and setting their goals and all of that. We talked about some of that when we talked about the review process in last week's episode. But you really want to make sure that there's not a lot of drama that you have to manage. I guess that's what I mean by you build a team that automates itself, is that you don't have to deal with a lot of drama. And the other thing that this is going to do is it's going to protect your culture and your clients, because you don't want your clients to get caught up in this drama, right? Obviously. And people who are not a part of your culture can kind of start having a negative influence on your clients. And that's something that we want to avoid. I've got a comment from, oof, my eyesight's getting bad. Murph Games, it looks like. In all of my IT years, I've ran into many of these. Yes, it does seem to be, and I guess I can go ahead and pop those up on the screen. There does seem to be quite a few of these in our industry. And we'll get into probably a little bit why later. But Murph, thanks for the observation. Now, the MSP reality is that a bad tech can cost 3 times their salary in things like lost clients, burnt out peers, having to do a lot of rework. And basically, the image here is of a leaky bucket. I mean, yes, you have a bucket and you have water, but because that bucket is not very well put together, teamwork, you are leaking all of these things because it's not, it's not operating the way it should, and you have holes in your bucket that are keeping you from being able to perform the way that you should be able to perform. Keith says that his eyesight is horrible. Right there with you, sir. We're both getting up there. Maybe it's something to do with the beard. Is that what it is? Oh, and he says he did pre-op for surgery today. I assume that means that is for his eyes. Maybe. So, Keith, hopefully we get to catch up soon. I will be at a couple more shows this year, so I'm looking forward to seeing you at some of those shows. Anyway, you don't want these really burnt out, non-culture fit type of people in your business. And this is what we're going to try and talk about, how you kind of get around to that. Now, these are the three pillars that they talk about in the book. They talk about somebody who is humble, somebody who is hungry, and somebody who is smart. Now, I've kind of repurposed the smart here simply because we are in a technical industry where technical smarts really do matter a lot. In the book, just so that you have, what the book talks about, is the book talks about smart being almost your emotional quotient, right? How you understand others, okay? And how you work well with others by understanding and picking up on social cues and things like that, which we also know in this industry, because I'm one of them, don't always pick up on social cues well. Now, humble, it's pretty obvious, right? They don't have a big ego. Now, as Murph pointed out earlier, there are a lot of brilliant jerks in this industry. And so humble sometimes is a hard thing to find. And then hungry. And I think hungry in this case has a very specific definition for the MSP or the IT industry. And that is that they are looking for ways to improve not only the business, but kind of the operation side. They're very technical minded. This is somebody who probably has their own test bench at home, their own, test environment at home that they play with. It also means they're probably into scripting and automation because they don't like to redo the same things twice. So the merger of these three things, or where they overlap, we call the magic of this, right? This is where you create that magical team player, is where you have the intersection of humble, hungry, and smart. And they really do a good job of describing this in the book. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to look at this as part of your process for hiring, that you get the book and you either listen to it or you read it, because I think it's a really great resource. Now, I will say, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the comments so that I know that you're here. We have not seen any comments yet from Facebook or LinkedIn. So if you are joining us from Facebook or LinkedIn, I would actually appreciate it if you would just say hello, hey there, and let me know that those two channels are working. Keith says, oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. Yes, great song lyrics. Anyway, let's get to the definition of hungry. And this is just one example of hungry, right? So it's the relentless pursuit of the root cause, is what we'll call this. And this is relevant to the MSP world because, we can solve problems and we can put a Band-Aid on something and actually close a ticket, right? But sometimes that is just going to cause us more work down the line, or we're going to have to put the same Band-Aid on over and over and over again. That doesn't ultimately bring the efficiencies to the business or the experience to your clients that you're looking for. This is a person, like I said earlier, they hate repeating manual tasks. So they are going to find a way to solve that root cause problem, or to automate something so they don't have to do it manually again. And this hire, if you hire somebody who's hungry, it can increase your margin through automation so that you're not having to do those things. And by the way, it's not just saving them time, because once they build this automation, all of your techs can use it. So this is a very valuable thing to look for in these employees. Now, Keith says, this is why we really need to create a good environment for the young, hungry people. can't agree more. That is absolutely correct. This creates a humble magic employee and future employer, hopefully. Yes. And there's a lot of room in this industry for employees of MSPs to branch off and go into business for themselves. I think there are so many small businesses out there that need MSPs who don't have them, that, it's natural for employees of MSPs to go out and strike out on their own, especially when we're talking about the smaller size MSPs. But, treating people, and helping them kind of fill that hunger side by being able to do some automation work, by being able to be part of the processes that you put together for solving tickets and things like that, makes those people feel worthwhile and makes them feel approved in the business. So definitely something to look at, Keith. Thank you for that. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, that was not Keith, that was Murph, I apologize. uh, I again, eyesight. They don't make a bigger teleprompter um, for this, and I really wish they would, because I would buy one in a second to replace this one so that I can see both the slides that I'm working on as well as your comments. That's another thing that, by the way, if StreamYard is watching, there's a feature that I would love to have them add, and that is to be able to break apart the different views inside of StreamYard so that I can take the comments and put them down in a separate window on one of my larger monitors instead of having it inside of the live stream, inside of the teleprompter window. All right. So Murph has a couple of other things, and I'm going to properly credit him with them this time. We try to automate everything we can. It was my takeaway from eMyth Revisited, another excellent book. Make IT run like McDonald's. Now, that's an interesting topic, probably for another program. It's not wrong. I think it's an and proposition because there is a lot of IT that can run like McDonald's, but there's also a lot of experiential and consulting type things that I think we need to roll into being an MSP these days as well. So yes, Murph, I agree with that 100%. I think there's things that probably you can add to it to increase your value as an MSP. And then Murph says, all good, not trying to interrupt. No, you're not interrupting. Look, I don't go through these slides just to go through these slides and then sign off. I love the fact that we are having interaction tonight. I really do appreciate it. And that's what we're here for. We're here to have a conversation. Coming up in a couple of weeks, and one of the reasons why I wanted to give us a couple of weeks before the next one, even though I do have real reasons for not being here the next 2 Wednesday nights, is that I do want to put a panel together. And so I'll be putting a post out to the Facebook group saying that we are going to have a panel on a specific topic. I've got 3 in mind, but I haven't really landed on one yet. So I'm going to be looking into doing that. And when I figure out what the topic is going to be, I will put it out to the Facebook group to get panelists. And I'm going to be looking for MSPs for this panel, not necessarily vendors. If you're a vendor and you have specific knowledge to this, that's fine. But I'm really looking for more MSPs, and I will have you guys on as I've done panels in the past. I think those make for better shows than just me doing slides. So yeah, look for that in the Facebook group. If you are not a member of the Facebook group, just go to facebook.com/groups/all things MSP. A couple of questions, fill it out. We'll let you in. And then you'll see that post this coming week. All right, let's go to smart. So this is capable and willing to learn is what I would declare this as. It's somebody who, like I said kind of earlier, always has a home lab or a side project that they're working on that relates to the industry, right? And one of the things where this helps you as the MSP is that your stack is always evolving. And so if you have people on your team that can help it to evolve and they're evolving faster, um, you know, it definitely it helps. So make sure that you are again hiring people who are not just capable but also willing to learn. We're really looking for that willing to learn component when it comes to smart as well, and willing and able, I guess I should say, to learn. All right, now my big red flag to talk about, and this really is the brilliant jerk that we were talking about earlier, and it is the skillful politician. They talk about this specifically in the book, and they give a great example of this in the book. Um, this can be your most dangerous hire because on the surface, they are hungry, they are smart, but they're not humble. And sometimes, especially during the interview process, it's very easy to hide the not humble part. And so it's definitely something you want to look for because these people are going to create knowledge silos, right? They're going to try and keep things to themselves to make themselves invaluable. And when you're talking to them, especially during the interview process, you want to be looking for I instead of we when they're talking about stories in the interview. When you're asking them questions, they're answering those questions. That is something that you want to look for. You want to look for whether they're referring to themselves all the time or they're referring to a team. Now, the interview strategy is that you want to ask different questions that are going to bring out the behavior of these people and the three virtues that they talk about in the book. So, one, you're going to want to talk about the technical, of course, ask about a script they've written. And as they're describing it, you should get a pretty good idea of, well, was it part of a team? Was it something they did on their own? Did they use it just for their own benefit? Or is it something that they used and benefited the entire team? Jargon. This is another important one. Um, and the example question here is ask them to explain a VLAN to a florist. And the reason here is can they speak to a client about these things without using industry specific language? Okay. And then a great ego question to ask is to ask about their biggest failure. They will quite often pause for a long time to think about this because they'll want to make it look like they haven't had any failures, right? Or they may consider that they think themselves that they have not had any big failures, which again is a big red flag. So asking about their biggest failures, it will give you a really good insight into how these people think and how they uh, blame others or blame other parts like processes and things like that. So definitely things to keep an eye out for. Now, I did too many clicks. I created a hiring scorecard and I like using scorecards when you're doing things like this because it helps to become more data driven and analytical. Now, of course, the interview questions that you're going to ask are not, 1 and 0 types of questions, right? They're going to be on a scale and you're going to have to grade based on how you feel about their answer on the scale. And, in the example that I give, there's you score candidates from a 1 to 5 on all three pillars. And then, you use those scores to come up with a final score. Now, when you look at this, I do want you to consider that somebody who has a 3 in all those things, the hunger, the humble, and the smart, is better than having a 5 in only one. Okay. because you're looking for somebody who is well-rounded and is going to overlap with that magical area rather than have somebody who is so strong in one area that it kind of wipes out the other two virtues. So just something to keep in mind. And of course, I have put together a link for you. It is a safe QR code. I know I'm going to get that. But you can use the link as well. It's very easy to remember. It's atmsp.link/new hire score. Or in case, because I called it a scorecard, I did actually make another link. It's atmsp.link/new hire scorecard. My initial thought was new hire score was shorter and would be better. And then I realized, well, people are probably going to remember it as new hire scorecard. So I did both. Makes it easy. But anyway, it has sample questions for hungry, humble, and smart. And it shows you red flags and green flags for each one. So the green flags are what to look for in their answers, and the red flags are what to look out for in their answers. So that's just, a couple of things to remember and to kind of look for in that. Now, remember, these are sample questions. They are not meant to be the greatest questions out there. I think the best way to do this is to take that form, look at the sample questions, and create new questions either instead of or in addition to the questions that are there that relate specifically to your MSP and your culture. And then fill out what you're looking for, the green flags, and what you're looking out for, the red flags, so that you can customize this to really fit your MSP and your culture and the way you do business. All right. It's a short one tonight because I don't want to spend a lot of time on these slides, right? I think you guys got the idea. I think it doesn't take too long to get through that. Great questions tonight. If you have any questions about any of this, I'd be happy to go ahead and answer them. If you have questions about anything else, we can turn this into a little bit of a Q&A session. I mean, we've got 33 minutes before Uncle Marv's live stream starts. So, you might as well do something. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. If you are watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, go ahead and give us a comment so that we can see that those channels are working. I would appreciate that because we haven't seen any of those yet this evening. So I'm looking a little bit suspicious on that. You know what? I am going to go ahead and put the link to the scorecard into the comments for anybody who is looking for it later. Making sure I spelled it right. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. Looks like that went through. Yeah. So that's it for this evening's show. Just a reminder, the next live stream will not be until February 11th, unless I post a rerun. I might queue up some reruns because it's been a while. There's a lot of great content out there. Or I might repost a podcast for the live stream for the next 2 weeks. But those will be reruns. I'm just letting you know so that you guys, if you've watched all of them or listened to all of them, you'll know. And but you'll see what it is when the original post goes up when I schedule it, though, so it's fine. I will be in Las Vegas at Right of Boom. That's February 4th through the 6th, 3rd through the 6th, something like that. I will be there the entire time. In fact, I won't leave until the Saturday after, just because of the way flights worked out. So if you're there, come by and see me. I will be at the Ignite booth, and happy to have a conversation with anybody about anything regarding being an MSP. You know, there's a lot of great people in this group, and they've taught me a lot of great things. And, I did have that small stint of, 10, no, it's longer than that. 17 years as either break fix or MSP, because there were 10 years before MSP was even a word. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, and like I said, if you're going to write a boom, please come by and see me. If you have any questions later on, just go ahead and put those questions in the Facebook group. Murph, thank you very much for being here. Keith, thank you very much for being here. Really do appreciate it. And we will see you in the next one. Have a great evening. Hey, thanks for watching All Things MSP Live. You can reach me, Eric Anthony, at eric@allthingsmsp.com. If you're a guest, if you're a vendor, if you want to sponsor the show, let me know.